And welcome, sports fans, to today's Sports Roundtable. Glad you joined us this morning as we will continue to be here each Saturday morning, live at 10 a.m. for the Sports Roundtable right here on Channel 21 on your New Wave cable, as well as YHCTV.com and Facebook Live. So be sure to tune in each Saturday morning to get a recap of not only high school football, but other things going on throughout the week in the sports landscape in our area. And we just had week 2 high school football last night. We were on hand for a live broadcast in Kennett last night, and quite a game there in Kennett. Also, we'll have to replay Portageville and Grandview, quite a game down there as well. We'll have that to replay over the weekend and available to watch on YHCTV.com. So 2 weeks in now to high school football in the area, and it's exciting. School's well into session now. High school football underway, getting in some other sports as well. We'll recap some high school volleyball today, and also fall softball and baseball and boys soccer underway, which we'll be getting into those over the next few weeks as well. So it's an exciting time, and high school football is certainly dominating the scenes here in southeast Missouri, northeast Arkansas. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of those games from last night, starting off with the game that we had last night here on YHC. Kennett over Gosnell, no problem, 44-8. As Kennett really erupted in the second half after a 15-0 halftime score. Really took it to the Gosnell Pirates in the second half to run away with a dominant 44-8 victory for their home opener at Metz Cherry Stadium last night. And we got some highlights from that game last night. Let's go ahead and take a look at that from last night. And first, starting off in the first quarter, Gosnell goes for it on fourth down at midfield, turning it over to the Indians, but Gosnell getting the ball back, getting a decent drive here in the first quarter. Not a whole lot going on for most of the first half, but a chance to score here for the Indians. Bodie Ellis looking deep and intercepted. The Pirates intercept that here late in the first quarter into the second. Nice run here by Marcavon Harrell. He gets some space in the open field, goes all the way in for the touchdown, and that gave the Kennett Indians their first score to go up 7-0 at that point. So a big run for Harold to get the Indians on the board. And here we look, Kennett going to the end zone with just a few seconds remaining on fourth down, but with 3 seconds left in the half on first down, Gosnell throws the ball down the field. Seth Tice intercepts it and goes in for the touchdown as time expires. So quite a gamble there for Gosnell. Pays off for the Indians, 15-0 up at half. And here into the second half, Bodie Ellis with a keeper into the end zone. They get up 21-0. And then LaQuez Pulliam breaks away for the score in the third quarter, now into the fourth, where Kennett starts to pull away. Bodie Ellis looking deep for Cameron. Carter Maddox with the touchdown reception. And now Bodie Ellis with the keeper all the way to the end zone to give them 44 points with the extra point on top of that. So quite an evening for the Indians with a 44-8 victory. And we'll talk a little bit more about that and details of that game in our next segment. But Kennett opened up with a great home opener last night. And Gosnell just couldn't get anything going offensively. It did break one for about a 60, 70-yard run in the second half, late in the second half for a score. But other than that, it was all Kennett Indians last night. And also a game we just failed to bring live to you last night, but we'll have replay over the weekend. Portageville over Grandview. Portageville getting their first win of the year over Grandview out of Hillsboro, 40-15. So the Portageville Bulldogs get their first win of the season at Vic Reeves Athletic Field last night in Portageville. And again, we'll have that to replay. We'll talk more about that in a moment. And take a look at some other games from the area. Going to northeast Arkansas, the Piggott Mohawks opened up their season after having last week having an open date. So this was their kickoff to their season. The Mohawks on the road taking on Jonesboro Westside and taking a loss there, 13-0. Westside, a little bigger school there. I think they're 4A there, northeast Arkansas. Piggott in the 3A, and Piggott just unable to get on the board and taking a loss on the road to Westside, 13-0. Always a tough opponent there, especially going on the road for opening week, and Westside probably coming off week 1 opponent. So Piggott with their first game of the year, that's got to be a tough one on the road, taking on a 4A school. But not bad defense there, holding them to 13 points. But Piggott falls, and we will talk more about the Piggott Mohawks as they open up their home schedule next week. And the Hayti Indians victorious over the Charleston Blue Jays and really erupting in the second half. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But Hayti coming off a loss to Thayer last week and getting an impressive victory over a talented Charleston team last night, 36-7. Salem over Dexter, 19-6. That one was up in Salem last night. Dexter offense has struggled over the last few weeks. They did put 7 on the board at a short field against St. Genevieve last week and managed to put up 6 points against a pretty tough Salem team. Salem's usually pretty tough, especially up front, and Salem doing just enough to get that victory, 19-6 up in Salem yesterday. And big matchup here is going back a number of years. Crothersville over Mullen, no problem, 54-6. Crothersville had a big win last week over Miller Career Academy out of St. Louis, and no problem last night at the Swamp in Malden, 54-6. As the Crothersville Tigers move to 2-0. And Nevada County Central off to a great start. Another impressive victory last night over the East Prairie Eagles, 46-6. Another dominant victory. Nevada County Central had a dominant victory last week over Malden and duplicate once again this week against East Prairie. So Nevada County Central off to one of their best starts. Actually had a pretty good season last year. And looks like they're building on that once again this year. They're in New Madrid. McClure North over Sykeston in a shutout, 36-0. Sykeston just unable to get any offense going. No points on the board last night, taking that shutout loss to McClure North. Kelly over Crystal City, no problem in a shutout, 62-0. Big win for the Kelly Hawks. Jackson over Parkway North, no problem, 57-13. Jackson moves to 2-0 with their season so far. Thayer over Donovan, decisively 50-19. Thayer coming off that victory against Hayti last week and a dominant victory over the Donovan Dons, 50-19. Cabool over Chaffee, no problem, 46-0. This is another Class 1 team to look out for. Cabool way out west, and they've had a great first 2 weeks, moving to 2-0 and shutting out the Chaffee Red Devils last night. Scott City over St. Vincent, 49-35. A lot of points in this one. Scott City coming up big victory decisive victory over Grandview, and a little tougher one last night against St. Vincent, and getting the 14-point victory last night for the Rams. Poplar Bluff, big decisive victory over Riverview Gardens, no problem for the Mules, 48-8 in that one. The Mules roll over Riverview Gardens. Cape Central getting a shutout victory over Normandy, 49-0, and Cape Central moves to 2-0 on the year. And we're taking a look at some high school volleyball in the area in tournament action. Leopold defeats Greenville 2-0. Also staying in this tournament action, Meadow Heights over Oak Ridge, 2-1. Woodland defeating Bell City, 2-0. And Saxony Lutheran defeating Zalma, 2-0 in that tournament play. And take a look at some other play in the area. Holcomb over Delta C7, 2-0. Advance over Richland, also 2-0. Dexter over Jackson, and a big matchup there, 2-1. Dexter over Jackson. Holcomb defeating North Pemiscot, 2-1. Risco over Southland, 2-0 there in the Tri-County Conference. Malden over South Pemiscot in the Boot Hill Conference, 2-0. Gideon over Richland, 2-0. Kennett over Charleston earlier in the week, 2-0. Leopold over Saxony Lutheran, 2-0. Orion over East Prairie, 2-0. And New Madrid County Central over Hayti, getting a 2 straight set victory over the Hayti Indians. So that's a look at the volleyball scene from the area, and quite a bit of volleyball getting underway, and we'll be reporting on that each week as well with a little bit more in depth going forward. And take a look at those broadcasts we did last night. You can watch those replay here on YHC for the weekend. We've got Gosnell versus Kennett coming up a little later today at Saturday at noon. and also Sunday at 3. And you can watch that on demand. Go to our website at yhctv.com. You can watch that anytime there at yhctv.com or through our YouTube channel. But watch it replay here on YHC Channel 21 here later on today, Saturday at noon and Sunday at 3. And the Grandview-Portageville game, unable to bring that live to you last night, but we'll replay this evening, Sunday at 6 p.m. and also Tuesday at 6 p.m. And we will have that uploaded to yhctv.com probably by Sunday, so you can watch that online as well. So Portageville getting that win over Grandview, so you can watch that Portageville victory this weekend here on YHC. And let's take a look at our broadcast schedule going forward in our season. And taking a look at next week, September 13th. Friday night, we'll have 2 games to bring to you. We've got New Madrid County Central at Dexter. We'll bring that live to you right here on Channel 21, YHCTV.com, and Facebook Live. We'll have that on all those platforms for you. Should be a good matchup next week in those games, as New Madrid County Central off to a great start, and Dexter's gotten the better of New Madrid County Central the last few years, and so should be a good one Friday night at Charles Bland Stadium between New Madrid County Central and Dexter. Should be a good one. And also we'll be down in Northeast Arkansas at Parker Field in Piggott, as Brooklyn will travel to take on the Piggott Mohawks for the Mohawks home opener. We will have that live for you on YHCTV.com. So look forward to those broadcasts next week right here on YHC. And we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to get a little bit more in depth to those contests, some of those contests last night in high school football. And we're going to take a break and be right back.
At Glen Sane, we realize it can be very confusing when buying an automobile. Things have changed as many years as I've been in this business as a dealer. We have dealer websites with all kinds of pricing, with disclosures at the bottom that most customers don't qualify for. All we ask, before you buy, come and see us. Let us explain exactly what we're doing. At Glen Sane, that's what we do. No one appreciates your business more than our families do. Best price, best service. Glen Sane, and God bless our troops.
If you or your loved
And welcome back, and take a look at some headlines from last night and from the last few days this week. First, taking a look at some games from last night. Kennett shutting down Gosnell. Very defensive, dominating game for the Kennett Indians, forcing 8 turnovers in that contest. Just an unbelievable showing on the defensive side for the Kennett Indians. And Marcavon Harrell having a big night, rushing 111 yards, as you saw in the highlight. He had a great night, 111 yards rushing. Well, I think about 65 of it was on one play there, but big night for Marcavon Harrell. And worth noting, Seth Tice had a big game for the Indians as well. 2 interceptions on the night, one of which went back for a touchdown. And I believe he actually had another interception for a touchdown, but got called back due to a penalty. The interception did stand, though. And 2 interceptions on the night for Seth Tice. Big time performance for him as well. Just across the board, especially the defensive guys up front, the tackles and the defensive ends, and even the linebackers had a great night shutting down that Gosnell offense. And Gosnell's been a team where Kennett's struggled with the last few years. They took a loss to them the last few years, and actually Gosnell was their only loss last year on the regular season schedule. So Kennett rolling through Gosnell last night. Gosnell working with a different offense this year, really spreading it out with a spread offense. They've really used to gone to that double wing, I believe, and really tough to defend. Different offense this year, and Gosnell just really out of sorts. And a dominant performance by the Indians. Moved to 2-0 on the year, and team to look out for, especially throughout the Boot Hill, are the Kennett Indians, coming off a great season last year. Looks like they're just building upon that this year with Joel Wyatt and the Kennett Indians. So look out for the Indians going forward. Off to a great start, 2-0 once again this season. And talking about New Madrid County Central, big game for the Central Eagles over the East Prairie Eagles. And a big offensive night, nearly 500 yards of offense for the Eagles, as Quavazon Jackson, big night for him, 171 rushing yards for Jackson last night. and big-time performance for him. And Matt Riley stepping in at quarterback as a sophomore, having a big night through the air, 295 yards passing. And that one, sophomore coming in, I believe it was Kristen Phillips, who got injured last week in the game against Malden, senior quarterback who had a great year last year, as New Madrid had one of their best seasons in years last year, having a winning record. And Phillips went down last week with an arm injury. Matt Riley steps in and has a big game as a sophomore, 295 yards passing. Also, Austin White, I believe it's Austin White, had a big game as well. He had nearly 200 yards receiving, I believe, so over 100 yards receiving for Austin White. So big-time performances last night for the Eagles. Look out for New Madrid County Central. They had a great year last year. Compared to their last number of years, they've went through a pretty good drought for a while, but bounced back with a big year last year with a winning record and building upon that. And we'll see if they can continue that with a win over Dexter next week. They got Dexter Bearcats at the Charles Bland Stadium here in Dexter, and we'll be on hand to bring that live to you next Friday night right here on YHC. So look forward to seeing the Eagles. They were a good team last year. We didn't have them on the schedule with either Kennett or Dexter, but they're back on the schedule this year at Dexter. So we'll be looking forward to seeing the Central Eagles and seeing how they build upon their 2-0 season with their start this year. They got off to a great start last year and off to a good one once again this year. We'll see if Matt Riley can continue it on as a sophomore. That was quite a performance last night in his first varsity start. Opened up with 295 yards passing, so we'll see what happens. But some good performances last night for those Central Eagles. Hayti, big win over Charleston last night. This was one of the games to look forward to coming into Friday night. Charleston had a dominant victory over Portageville. They also had a great year last year. I think they ended their season, the regular season, only 2 losses, I believe, in the regular season. One of their best seasons in years there in Charleston. And coming back with another strong team once again this year. Hayti behind Trey Stevenson and Trayvon Thomas, sophomore quarterback. They erupted in the second half with 30 points. It was a 7-6 game at half in favor of Charleston. And at that point, Hayti took over in the second half. 30 unanswered points in the second half by the Hayti Indians to secure that victory, 36-7. So quite a performance last night, especially in that second half for the Hayti Indians. So Hayti coming back with an impressive victory, bouncing back from that loss to Thayer last week. So impressive bounce back victory for the Hayti Indians last night over Charleston. And some other games, Crothersville, Devin Russell really took over that game with Malden last night. He tossed 6 touchdowns in that victory over Malden last night. So Crothersville, got to look out for Crothersville. Also, Charles Tillman had a big game on the ground for the Crothersville Tigers. And that duo of Devin Russell and Charles Tillman going to be very dynamic this year, especially in the Boot Hills. So look out for the Crothersville Tigers. They're back. They had a strong year last year. They went out to the quarterfinals after a district championship in district play. They went and matched up with a very good Luther North team and took one on the chin to Luther North in the quarterfinals. But we're back to seeing Crothersville back among one of the top teams in the area here in not only the Boot Hill but Southeast Missouri and the Crothersville Tigers. So look out for Crothersville going forward. It's going to be a tough team to beat. And moving on from a little high school football, let's move into some other news this week that broke in college football. Former Hayti football standout Ivory Winters has transferred to Southeast Missouri State in Cape Girardeau. Big news this week as the college football season getting underway. It was well noted that Ivory Winters committed and signed with Indiana University, and that was the case. And he actually transferred to SEMO after their game with Ball State last week. So I don't know exactly the story up there in Indiana, but Ivory Winters looking to make the move here closer to home in Southeast Missouri at SEMO. And oddly enough, the way the rules work with the NCAA, Ivory Winters is eligible immediately. He transfers from I guess you would call it, what do they call that? There's 2 divisions in Division I football. There's basically what was previously known as the BCS, the well, previously it was Division 1A, and then there's Division 1 AA, but now it's Football Championship Subdivision, which SEMO plays in. Some of the smaller Division 1 ranks play in the Football Championship Subdivision. So 2 different divisions as going to from the kind of the elite division, that everyone knows, the Big Ten, SEC, and all those big colleges, going to the championship subdivision, which is the Ohio Valley Conference, and SEMO. So he's immediately eligible. And Coach Matukowicz for the SEMO Redhawks says they're not exactly sure what this is a reporting from the Southeast Missourian. Not sure exactly what his role is going to be with the team right now. They're looking to play him at running back, potentially on offense. So, and he's coming in here his first week with the team this past week. So not exactly sure what his role is going to be with the Redhawks going forward, but he has transferred to the SEMO football program. He is eligible to play, but that's a tough transition just coming in the first week of the season and getting acclimated with the offense, the team, and just the teammates in general. He's just a new face into the program here in the last week for the Redhawks. So we'll see what happens, but pretty exciting. If you follow SEMO football, they had a great season last year. Got a win over Stony Brook in the national tournament of the championship subdivision. Did lose on the road in the next round to Weber State out in Idaho. I believe that's in Idaho, but. And come back and open up with a great win last week against the Salukis, and against SIU. Going to be on the road against Montana state-ranked team. We'll talk about that at the end of our show with the college football preview. But big news: Ivory Winters transferred to Southeast Missouri State. He was recruited by SEMO, but Ivory Winters was such a talent. He was getting looks at all kinds of schools, and he did commit to Indiana, the Big Ten Conference. So that's a big get, as we call it. That's a big get for Southeast Missouri State and Ivory Winters. We'll see if he plays this year or even the next few weeks. We'll see. That is a tough transition, and as Coach Tukowicz said in that Southeast Missouri article, just hasn't done this before, bringing in a player, and they're going to try to get him into this roster and get him onto the field somehow. With the talent he's got, but Southeast Missouri State is got quite a bit of depth at the running back position. They go to about 2 or 3 deep on their depth chart with significant carries. So we'll see what happens, but it is exciting. Ivory Winters joining the SEMO football program here at Southeast Missouri State. So we'll see what happens. It is interesting, and we'll see what happens going forward with Ivory Winters at SEMO. And make a little transition to volleyball. Dexter getting a big win, probably the biggest win of the week here in Southeast Missouri. Takes a 3-set victory over Jackson. And Jackson, one of the top teams, top volleyball teams in the area, especially in the SEMO Conference. And Dexter getting an impressive victory over Jackson this week. And we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and take a look at some state rankings in high school football for the state of Missouri. The week 2 rankings are out, moving off the preseason rankings, and we're going to take a look at that coming up.
If you or your loved one has disabilities that cause you to need a little help, Boot Hill Area Independent Living Services can provide the assistance you need. At Bales, we want you to have control of your life and assist you in thriving in an independent lifestyle. The Consumer-Directed Services Program allows you, the consumer, to choose who assists you in conducting your daily activities. Bales serves Stoddard, Dunklin, New Madrid, and Pemiscot counties. Call or visit our office in Kennett to see how we can help you maintain your independence.
And welcome back, and take a look at some football state rankings. And these were released earlier in the week, so they won't reflect last night's games, but this is the week 2 rankings coming off the preseason state rankings. So we can see a lot of movement in these polls, especially after week 1. Teams taking some losses and moving up and down these polls. So let's take a look at the week 2 high school football rankings, starting out with Class 1 Lincoln. Still on top with a week 1 victory at number 1. 2 West Rand moves up to number 2. And Pierce City stays at number 3. 4 Mid-Buchanan. 5 Valley Catholic. 6 Thayer. 7 Marceline. 8 Adrian. 9 Hamilton Penny. And 10 the Hayti Indians. The Hayti Indians moved down from 2 all the way down to 10. They did suffer a first week loss to Thayer, who Thayer's right there at number 6, and Valley Catholic there at number 5. And all those teams share the same district in Class 1, District 1, Hayti, Thayer, and Valley Catholic. So that'll be a heck of a district tournament later on in the year. But Hayti does move down to number 10 with a first week loss. You might see them even move up a bit, depending on what the other teams did last night throughout the state. But Hayti got a nice victory over Charleston. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Hayti move back up those polls in the weeks to come. But going to be a very impressive, very interesting Class 1, District 1 tournament later on this season. And in Class 2, Luther North stays at number 1. Cardinal Ritter also at number 2. 3, Lathrop. 4, Lamar. Lamar moves up from 5 to 4. 5, Maryville. 6, Clark County. 7, Ava. 8, Centralia. 9, Palmyra. And number 10, Macon. And in Class 3, Blair Oaks at number 1 as Trinity Catholic. The defending Class 3 state champions take a loss last week. Don't know who that loss was to, but Blair Oaks moves from 2 to 1. Trinity 1 to 2. 3, Odessa. 4, Mount Vernon. 5, St. Charles West. 6, Southern Boone. 7, St. Francis Borgia. 8, Cassville. 9, Booneville. And the Kennett Indians round out the top 10 at number 10. Not surprised there. They did have a great year last year. Finished in the top 8 there in the quarterfinals. And got an impressive week 1 victory. So much respect there for the Kennett Indians in this week's poll, moving into that top 10 at number 10. And moving on to Class 4. This week, Ladue still on top at number 1. 2, Webb City. 3, Camden. 4, Platte County. It's a 2-way tie for 5th in Country Day and Kearney. 7, St. Mary's. 8, West Plains. 9, Smithville. And 10, Lebanon. And take a look at Class 5. Fort Zumwalt North at number 1. Still at number 1. 2, Carthage. 3, Raytown out of Kansas City. 4, Staley. 5, the Jackson Indians. They're in the top 5 at number 5. At 6, Eureka. 7, Chaminade. 8, Battle. 9, North Kansas City. And 10, Vianney, rounding out the top 10 for Class 5. So we're seeing some movement in those rankings this week. Hayti moving from 2 to 10. Big move there, but wouldn't be surprised if they start moving up back in those polls with their only loss so far coming to Thayer, which is their number 6. So Hayti, I would expect to probably move up those polls over the next few weeks. Kennett getting some nice love there at number 10 in Class 3. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Crothersville crack that top 10 poll over the next few weeks. And the way they've been playing there in Class 2. And we'll see what happens there. But Crothersville looking pretty good. And it's worth noting, there's been some movement in football this year. New Madrid County Central goes down to Class 2. They've been traditionally in Class 3. They go down to Class 2 in football, so that will help them to be more competitive come district time. And at Crothersville, New Madrid County Central game will be later on this year. It might be in a couple weeks, actually. So look out for that one. That'll be potentially a district matchup there as well. And I think Charleston still might be in Class 2 in football. They may have moved down to Class 1. I think that might have been the case. Don't quote me on that one. But also Malden moves down from Class 2 to Class 1. So Malden's in that district there with Portageville, Hayti, Valley Catholic, Thayer. So that's a big move for Malden going to Class 2. They've been Class 2 for years. So they go from Class 2 to Class 1 in high school football. So quite a bit of movement there in the classifications this year. Could be interesting come the end of the year and see how those play out. And now let's take another break. We'll take our last break and be back with some. We'll be back with some college football and NFL football previews for this weekend. Big weekend in football. Week 2 in college football. We got some big matchups, and NFL football is here finally. We had the Thursday night matchup a couple nights ago. Green Bay and Chicago. And the rest gets underway this weekend. We'll take a look at those games for this weekend coming up.
The Ford Summer Bash is going on right now at Baldwin. A 19 Escape, under $18,000. A 19 F-150, just over $22,000. 19 F-150 Super Cab, just over $26,500. Baldwin Ford Lincoln, home of the lifetime warranty. Toyota National Clearance Event is going on now with great deals like a 19 Sequoia, almost $9,000 off. 19 Toyota Tundra, save over $6,300. 19 Toyota Avalon, over $8,400 off. Baldwin Toyota, home of the lifetime warranty.
And welcome back. Let's take a look at some college football slated for this weekend, and a big weekend in college football for week number 2. And this is a matchup that could be interesting. Cincinnati at 5th-ranked Ohio State. I think Ohio State's going to take that one, but you never know. Cincinnati had a nice victory over UCLA last week, but a little in-state game there with Cincinnati and Ohio. And Ohio State, 15.5-point favorites in that one at Ohio State. And also we've got Texas A&M and Clemson, one of the big matchups of the weekend. And Texas A&M at top-ranked Clemson, and Clemson 16.5-point favorites. You can watch that one at 2:30 this afternoon on ABC. Could be a good one there. Clemson wasn't just totally impressive over their week 1 victory. Golly, who was that now? Looking back last week, man, gets away from me. But anyways, they didn't look just totally dominant, even though the score looked that way. Trevor Lawrence didn't look all that great. He had a couple interceptions. We'll see if he bounces back against a tough Texas A&M opponent this afternoon. And also in the for the weekend, we've got 25th ranked Nebraska at Colorado. Nebraska 5-point favorites in that one. And New Mexico State at 2nd-ranked Alabama, and Alabama 55-point favorites in that one. I think I'd take New Mexico State, not outright, of course, but I think New Mexico State can cover that. I think they're going to call off the Dogs well before 55 points, I would think. But we'll see. But just unbelievable. 55-point favorites are the Alabama Crimson Tide. Murray State at 3rd-ranked Georgia, and Georgia 49.5-point favorites in that one. Murray State, Ohio Valley Conference, got a tough one on the road against Georgia for sure. South Dakota at 4th-ranked Oklahoma, 6th-ranked LSU at 9th-ranked Texas. Big matchup, top 10 matchup there today at Texas, and that'll be 6:30 this evening on ABC. LSU 6.5-point favorites in that one, so road favorites for the SEC, LSU Tigers. Also, we'll have Nevada at 16th-ranked Oregon. Also, we'll have 22nd-ranked Stanford at USC in the Pac-12. West Virginia at Missouri. Missouri hosting West Virginia in Columbia today. Southeast Missouri State at Montana State, and that's a football championship subdivision, of course. Montana State, I believe, ranked 13th or 12th. They're one or the other. SEMO's either ranked 12th or 13th. Montana State's ranked 12th or 13th. I believe SEMO is 12th ranked, and Montana State is 13th ranked. And also we'll have Arkansas State at UNLV. So Arkansas State got a little tough road matchup out in Las Vegas, taking on the Running Rebels at UNLV. So there's the college football matchups to look forward to today. And we'll see what happens. Some good games in there. We'll see what happens. It's going to be exciting. And the NFL season got underway this week. Thursday night, Green Bay got a 10-3 victory over Chicago. The Packers over the Bears. Quite a defensive game. Not much offense there. You can kind of tell how preseason can kind of take its toll on the offenses to get the season started. Aaron Rodgers, not that exceptional. Had a touchdown pass. Mitchell Trubisky really did not look good at all. Really made that Green Bay Packers look really good. Looking after that game, as Aaron Rodgers said, we got a defense. You do. To what extent, how good that defense is, I don't know, because Mitchell Trubisky can make you look pretty good, especially Thursday night. So we'll see. But that Bears defense is for real, as it was last year, and we'll see what happens going forward. But Thursday night football in the opener, Packers beat the Bears 10-3. Taking a look at the other games taking place this week in Week 1. The Titans at the Browns. A lot of eyes on the Browns this year to see if they can kind of pick up where they left off last year. They won 5 of their last 7 at the end of the year. Missed the playoffs, but some are picking them. I think they are the betting favorite right now to win the AFC North. And with teams like the Ravens and the Steelers, that says something. But we'll see if they can pick up where they left off. Big additions over the offseason: Kareem Hunt, running back, and wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. And of course, the quarterback Baker Mayfield coming off a big rookie year. So we'll see what happens. They got the Titans at home to start off the season in Cleveland. The Ravens at the Dolphins. The Falcons at the Vikings in the NFC. Redskins at the Eagles, NFC East matchup. The Rams at the Panthers, another NFC matchup. The Kansas City Chiefs, the betting favorite to win the AFC. And some books have Chiefs the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Some have the Patriots. But nonetheless, going to be an exciting year for the Chiefs. MVP Patrick Mahomes coming off a 50 touchdown and 5,000 yard passing season. See if he can, even if he comes close to duplicating that, it'll be an MVP caliber season. And they are on the road taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC. The Colts at the Chargers, interesting matchup there. Of course, Andrew Luck retiring a couple weeks ago really threw a wrench into the Colts season, but Jacoby Brissett, well-capable backup. He's had plenty of experience backing up Andrew Luck. He got an extension, a couple-year extension this week, taking on the LA Chargers. The LA Chargers, a team that's looked really good over the last year, just really laid an egg in New England last year in the playoffs. But that's a team that could contend for the AFC title. We'll see what happens there. The Colts at the Chargers in LA on Sunday. The Giants at the Cowboys, big matchup there as Ezekiel Elliott ends his holdout this week, signing with the Cowboys with an extension. So we'll see him in some role against the Giants. The Giants coming off a struggling year, but Saquon Barkley really did make a splash. We'll see. That tends to be always a good one there between the Cowboys and the Giants, and that one's in Dallas this weekend. The Lions at the Cardinals, a lot of eyes on first top overall pick Kyler Murray, quarterback for the Cardinals, coming off his Heisman campaign with the Oklahoma Sooners, and of course, the eyes are on him, and playing at 5'7". Yeah, they got him listed about 5'9", 5'10", but boy, he's awful short out there. But we'll see. All eyes are on him, see if he can have a successful year in Arizona with the Cardinals. The Steelers at the Patriots in Sunday Night Football. That'll be a big one, always is, between those two. The Steelers, when Ben Roethlisberger's been there, he is winless in New England. Just an unbelievable feat there for the Patriots to hold Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers winless in New England. Should be a good matchup there in Sunday Night Football on NBC. And then the doubleheader for Monday Night Football, the early game is the Texans at the Saints. The Saints, of course, looking to get back to that NFC Championship game. Open up with a pretty tough opponent in the Houston Texans on Monday Night Football. Then the late game on the West Coast, that's the Broncos at the Raiders. And the AFC West matchup there. And I tell you, the Raiders have gone through the drama over the last month, and it's gotten even worse here in the last day. Actually, today, I think, with Antonio Brown missing pretty much all of training, or much of training camp, with a kind of a holdout over a helmet, being able to use his old helmet that he's used, and he got past that, and then had a kind of a disagreement, a kind of a heated disagreement with GM Mike Mayock. And they were talking about potentially suspending him as of just yesterday, but head coach John Gruden come out and said he will play in week 1. And now today, either last night or early this morning, the Raiders voided his $30 million guarantee in his contract. And at that point, Antonio Brown made an Instagram post saying, "Release me," at Raiders. Actually tagged them in the post, at Raiders, release me. So, boy, I tell you, it's a mess there, and certainly the mess you don't want to have coming into the season. And hosting Monday Night Football is going to be a lot of talk about what's going to happen with Antonio Brown. We'll see. He's asking to be released today, and just unbelievable. Whether he suits up for the Raiders Monday night, who knows? We'll see. But it's been quite the drama there in Oakland, still in Oakland. be in Vegas in a couple of years. But it's just unbelievable what the Raiders have gone through the last couple of weeks with Antonio Brown. So we'll see if he suits up or not. That's quite the prop bet there, whether Antonio Brown will suit up for the Raiders Monday night or not. We'll see. But that's weekend. That's week one. NFL football slated for you this weekend. I'm excited. That's my deal. NFL football. Excited to get week one ongoing and see what happens. There's going to be some big storylines coming into this season. And we're going to wrap it up for today. A lot to get to today. A lot of things happening this week, especially in the high school ranks. And we'll be getting in more into the fall baseball and volleyball. We did get on some volleyball. We're going to get some more volleyball, get into some boys soccer and tennis as well. So more to come as the Sports Roundtable returns each Saturday at 10 a.m. We're going to get some guests in. Guests didn't work out for today, but we're certainly going to get some guests in for the weeks ahead. So look forward to that. And we're going to wrap it up for today. So have yourself a great weekend, and we'll see you next time right here on the Sports Roundtable. Take care, everyone.